Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hi! My name is Natasha and it's fantastic to have you here. For today's pick a card reading, it is a timeless one and we are discussing shadow work. So what do we need to pull from the shadows into the light and advice on how to work through it? I am using darker imagery decks, so do keep that in mind. This is your warning if that's not your cup of tea. And this is a general reading, so do take what does resonate and know that there's a message for you somewhere. And we do have 3 piles in front of you. Before you go ahead and pick, all I ask you to do is to get into a calm, quiet space, take a few deep breaths, and really let your intuition or your gut pick the pile/crystal in front of you. Timestamps for each group will be down in the description box below, as well as in a pinned comment from me down in the comment section. So without further ado, we've got group number 1 here with the Smokey Quartz. Okay. Group number 2, black Tourmaline. And group number 3, Hematite. All right, if you need to pause this video to meditate on the piles, you can do so now. If not, I will see you in your particular group. Hello, my group number 1s, those of you who chose the Smokey Quartz. We're going to go ahead and take a look at your tarot cards first, and then dive a little bit deeper with your oracle cards. But with the tarot cards, one card is going to represent the shadow that we're going to be focusing on or highlighting, and then the other card is going to be the advice, or maybe how to work through the shadow, move through it, or shine some more light on it. Okay, so your first card that we've got for your shadow is 10 of Pentacles. Okay, so this card usually talks about financial stability and family ties and family legacy. So like having the wealth that goes through generations. This can also be talking about community wealth and relying on communities and help from communities, but most of the time it is abundance and financial security. So with this being your shadow, it means that you are worried about providing that, being worried that you're on the correct career path, being worried that you rely too much on your community, family, friends, that sort of a thing. The worry and the concern. And since it's a Pentacles, I'm really feeling that a lot of you that pulled this are concerned about whether or not you are in the correct career path and or job situation. And so it could be that maybe you cannot leave your current situation because it pays too much. There's so many factors for this shadow, and I don't want to dive too deep within each one because we will be here all day. But the fact of the matter is there's a huge worry and concern over here about whether or not you will be able to provide that abundance or even deserve it. Why am I getting that too? So self-worth, yes. Worried about self-worth and whether you're good enough and whether you deserve all of this. So there's a few camps here. So that's very, very interesting. Okay. But it's a very, very common shadow. I feel like 99.9% of us throughout our life constantly worry about all of these things. And so again, it's a very common shadow. So don't feel like you are all alone in this worry that nobody understands, because it is very, very common. And then the card that will help work through this, would you look at that? We've got Judgment. So this is very interesting because what Judgment talks about is a healthy self-critique, judgment, a healthy look at your decisions, planning ahead and making sure that we've got goals to really reawaken and reinvigorate yourself, to figure out whether or not this is the correct path for you. So again, shadow work is going to look quite differently for each person, what they want to do to work through things. But the advice here is to really do a healthy self-critique. It is not looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, how dare you make these decisions? What did you do? I can't believe we did this. I coulda, shoulda, woulda, etc. what we're talking about here through this judgment is really taking a look at where we're at, how we got here, and where we want to go moving forward. Taking a good hard look at ourselves and our decisions with love and consideration. We're not sitting here with compassion. We're not sitting here just negative self-talking our way through it. It's not going to help you work through this shadow. You're not going to feel any better by being harsh on yourself. Okay, this is about maybe we're reevaluating our life path. Maybe we are figuring out new plans and a new direction to go. What will help you live authentically? What feels good and natural to you? And if that's not something that you're doing right now, we need to pause. We need to take a time out and really figure out, okay, what do I feel good in? What position would I love to have? What can I do in order to change how I feel? How can I live more authentically me? I'm probably going to say this a million times. So that you can feel like you're worthy, so that you can feel like that you deserve all of this. Because sometimes we have a negative outlook on money and finances because of our own past circumstances, because of how we grew up, etc. So we can have a negative idea about money or about abundance in general, because remember, abundance isn't always money. Abundance is, the quality of the life that you're living. So again, this isn't to criticize anyone or be a negative person at all, because that's not what I'm doing here. I'm just highlighting the fact that sometimes our negative perceptions of things can affect us subconsciously. So if you had negative experiences with money or with jobs or with your situation, it might affect you subconsciously on how you move forward with that. So that is not a negative thing at all. It is not a dig. It is just what can happen. So with this judgment card, this is really asking you to pause and take a time out to really reevaluate where you're going and how you're doing that. Okay. And that's beautiful. This can be writing lists. This can be, journaling. This can be, like I said before, looking in the mirror and just giving yourself a good talking to and looking at yourself in a new light. So you can literally look in the mirror and look at all of the things that you love about yourself that you can see, and you can start bringing back that self-love. And then every day in the mirror, you continue that tradition and be like, I love myself. I love myself because fill in the blank. And it can be, physical things, and then it can lead into more things that you can't see. Like, I love how I'm creative. I love how I can I can take a situation and think outside the box and make it into something new and brand new, exciting. So those types of things. So those are just some ways of using that judgment card's advice. All right. So it's going to be different for each person. And this is such a beautiful message, because I feel like we're all going to be in this boat at some point in our lives, or we've been there. And sometimes it's really hard to do a self-critique. It's really hard to not be negative on yourself. Oh my gosh. I know you guys have probably seen it. That cute little girl that gives herself affirmations in the mirror every morning, talking about how she's beautiful and she loves her hair, and she, she just gives herself all of these things that she loves about. That's what I'm talking about. You do that in the mirror every day. I know it's difficult, and I know sometimes it's hard to love ourselves and to give ourselves that appreciation, but that just means you need to do it more. All right. So let's move forward and see what your Halloween oracle has to say. We've got, look at that. The underworld, where all things pause and begin again. So taking a time out to reevaluate. All right, what do we got here? What's the message here? The underworld here. Should the underworld card be present in your reading, you are being asked to consider exactly what you have to do to transform your life into something you find easier or more authentic to you. Absolutely. This may include changing course. It may involve trials and tests. Keep moving. Whilst things fall away from your life, whilst things, may fall away and your life may appear bare for a time, this is temporary. Space is being made into which you can create the new. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. And your other card from the Halloween Oracle, we've got invisibility, authenticity. Okay, so I am being reminded of the fact that we are all the main character in our stories in our lives. So how we view our lives, we are the main character. So this makes me think that you feel like you are the side character, or that you could even be an extra, or the non-player character, the NPC, right? Is that how it is? So that you may feel like you're not the main character, that you may feel like you're not living your life authentically. How do we get there? How do we make you feel like the main character again? How do we make you not feel invisible? How do you get to the point where you're not just coasting and you're not just sailing on through and getting by because the world is moving around without you being the main focus, right? How do we get to that point? And so that's where we pause and we really take into consideration all of our self-critiques, okay? Because we all want to be the main character. We deserve to be the main character, okay? Next, we've got your Dark Mirror Oracle. We've got Calling the Storm. Okay, so when I think about this card, I think how things may feel chaotic. They may feel strained. They may feel like things are going on and are all going crazy around you. Chaos, destruction, all of that stuff, kind of like the Tower card in tarot. However, you can use that to your advantage because you're the one calling that storm, right? So you can use that to your advantage and know that there's always a sunshine after the rain, right? There's always clear skies after a storm. The storm clears away the ick to make room for new growth, to make room for brighter days ahead. So you be in charge of that chaos. You be in charge of how you call that storm and what you do with that, because we are definitely moving on to feeling better about ourselves and feeling better about being the main character, living authentically, okay? Next, we've got Alone in the World. Oh, okay. So this is definitely a relatable feeling like you're the only one going through this. You're the only one feeling this way. No one understands. No one gets it. But I assure you, we can relate. We understand that sometimes the feeling of being invisible makes us feel even more alone, right? Or maybe we're not living up to our full, or maybe we have imposter syndrome, or maybe we are doing something that we, thought we liked and thought we could enjoy, but we don't. And we're just not living up to those standards. And that makes you feel isolated and alone. And this could mean a whole bunch of things to different people in different ways. But just know that you aren't alone. That yes, your shadows can make you feel invisible and isolated, but we're going to be working through that. We have a plan now. We're getting that plan going, and it won't be like this forever. And sometimes it's okay to be alone, to take alone time out, to pause and reflect. So again, this is also a message for you taking time out to be by yourself and be okay with being by yourself and loving yourself, working on yourself, okay? And your next card here is Peaceful Among Thorns. Okay, again, taking a time out, pausing to reflect that you can be okay with the storm that is going on. Sometimes we just need to sit within the chaos, okay? Next up, we've got your Seasons of the Witch Samhain deck. We've got Wolf. Interesting. Devour the ferocious calling within the howling of your spirit. Run wildly into the freedom of your knowing. Okay, so this is kind of really fantastic. This is like after you take the time out and now you're figuring out who you want to be. Run with it. Go with it. Do it, because that's going to make you feel more of that freedom. Also, it's a nod to the fact that sometimes you can feel like, what is that? A wolf in sheep's clothing? Because it seems like she's in almost coming out of the wolf in some way. I know she's not, but it seems like that. Like how you feel like you're not who you show yourself to be. So again, interesting. I'm loving that. Just taking that time out to know what will provide you freedom, what will make you feel free and wild and yourself, that animalistic knowledge deep within you, that like innate calling. Then we have, oh, interesting, silence. Very similar. There's a sweet embrace in the nothingness. Stillness brings a presence of self fully embodied. Okay, again, this is just, your shadow work is essentially you figuring out you. Sitting in silence, taking a time out, and you figuring out you and allowing yourself to do that. And then we have Witch. I love this card. Grab hold. Allow the dwelling fire within belly awaken all that is. A mere glimpse, a delicate pull at the very roots living in the alchemy of self. Again, more talk about yourself, working on yourself, sitting with things. And again, the witch is considered a healer. So healing those shadows too, healing those expectations, healing the feeling that you're not being yourself. Again, interesting. Okay, hold on. I do want to read for the witch real fast. Come on. Okay, wisdom. Wisdom is the key word here. When the witch appears, believe that you are wiser than you know, and the thousands of years of wisdom from the wise ancient ones are available to you now. If you are finding your path to magic, this card is confirmation that you should continue to explore your craft. If you are an experienced witch, perhaps that it's time, or know that it's time to dig even deeper. Perhaps step up as a priestess and start your own coven. This message is even stronger if you pulled the healer card. Oh, well, no, we have not done that, but this is exciting. Wisdom. Wisdom. And then the wolf keyword here is instinct and freedom, silence, stillness, and presence. All right, I'm loving this. And your last cards here are your memento mori. We've got first up, anchor. What is weighing you down? What is holding you back? Interesting. What is the weight that you're feeling? And how can we release that? What is tethered to you? Then we have chiromancy, which is palmistry, palm reading. Oh, interesting. Maybe divination will help you. Let me get the paper here. Okay, found the little paper. So we got keywords of predetermined destiny, working with the hands, fate, health, money, life, marriage, and career. So all of those things we are worried about, we are talking about with our shadow. And maybe this is a nod if you want to start working with your hands as a career. That might be a good direction for you. All right, and then we have bear. Oh, that's interesting. Ooh, bear, the big beast of the forest. Bear makes me think of hibernation. So again, this is taking pause and taking a time out and really figuring out what you need to nurture, what you need to hold on to, and what you need to release in this time frame. Okay. And your last card is offerings. Ooh, interesting. So with offerings, it makes me think of something that you're asking for help, right? So being okay with asking for help, because when you're offering something, it's with magical workings, and you're asking your deities or your ancestors to help with the magical workings. So this is being okay with asking for help. This is also possibly wish fulfillment and getting what you want because it's an offering. So this is very interesting. I really enjoyed this type of reading. This is something different that I've not done before. So this was pretty experimental, and I'm really excited with how it turned out because it does seem to be very informative. So I hope this resonated with you, and if it did, please let me know what group you chose down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending your time with me. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on your way out of this video. That way you will never miss an upload from me. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Hello, my group number 2s, those of you who chose the black tourmaline. We're going to go ahead and take a look at your tarot first and then dive a little bit deeper with your oracle cards. This one is going to be a little bit different. We have one card that will highlight your shadow that we need to focus on, and then the second card will be the advice on how to work through it. So let's get started. Your shadow is death. Now, I'm not talking the actual death. I'm talking fear of change. That is your shadow. And quite frankly, it's a lot of people's shadow. Things that we are afraid of is changes. Changes are never fun for anybody. But this death card is usually talking about transformation, rebirth, a new cycle, something new, new directions, endings. So again, those are a lot of things that that can cause us some anxiety, maybe that we're afraid of things changing or ending because we're afraid of what's going to replace it. We can be afraid of endings all that we want, but in reality, things have to end in order for new things to come into our lives, right? So this can be regarding anything. It can be talking about fear of change with relationships, friendships, career changes, fear of moving, fear of, just the next level, the next step. There's a lot of us that fear change in general, right? So anything that's not in our routine, anything that can kind of come in and mess things up and shake it loose, because again, what will come after that? What will be the replacement for that ending? What is the new beginning going to look like? The fear of the unknown. That's another big one with this, because we won't know what comes next, right? Most of the time. So, a very common, very, very common shadow that a lot of us have to deal with. And it could be for some of you that it is fear of death, fear of actual endings. And that is a very valid shadow too. So that's not what I'm focusing on, what I'm getting the most out of with this shadow. What I'm getting to is the endings, the fear of change, that sort of thing. But again, I'm going to acknowledge that that's a shadow too. That's a fear that we can validate and understand too as a shadow. Because again, this is a general reading, so you take what resonates. And how to work through that. Oh, that's very interesting. So the advice here is the Wheel of Fortune, which indicates, fate, destiny. So again, it's in your destiny to have things change. Just know that. But again, when we're talking about the Wheel of Fortune, it is a literal wheel. So we're talking about cycles. What comes up must come down. Changing of seasons. So again, just like with the seasons, they're all ending. They're all changing. But it's to create something new. It's to make space for something new to come in, right? So sometimes things end because there's something bigger and better waiting for you. When one door closes, another one is there to be opened for you, because that is the bigger, better door to go down or go through, right? So yes, fear of change, it's it can sometimes be debilitating. Fear of things ending. Again, they're all very valid. But at the same time, the Wheel of Fortune is asking us to look at this as a cycle, as things ending in order to bring fortune and luck into your life and good things into your life. So whilst we may be upset or uncomfortable that things have to end, think of it this way. Graduation, so let's just talk about high school graduation. It's exciting, but it's scary because now we don't know what's coming next. But what's coming next is possible higher education. All right. So again, cycles, what comes up must come down. And this works with, if you're having like a bad time, a bad go of it, it's not going to last forever. There's a cycle to these things, right? A yin and a yang, a black and white, it's a cycle. So whilst we can be upset or scared or hate change or hate endings, because endings I'm seeing is the biggest one coming through. Just know with this Wheel of Fortune, the advice is that it's going to be okay, that we're going to get through it. It's just another cycle. It's just another, we're just going around the sun one more time, right? Like we're revolving around the sun. It's just another day. We're going to go through it. We're going to make it through. We're going to figure it out. So again, advice would be how we want to work through it. We can sit there and we can meditate on cycles. We can journal. We can focus on the fact that we have a path that we're going down and we're working toward. How you work with your shadow and how you work through it is individual, and you will know how and what works for you the best. But this is a reminder that things come in cycles, that nothing lasts forever, that preparing for the next level is always a fantastic idea. Knowing that when things run its course, they've ran their course and it's fate to go on to the next thing, that it's in your destiny, it's in your fortune to move forward. Okay. We're never going to look back and stay in the past. We're going to keep moving forward. We're just going to keep building this momentum and going forward. And, things might knock us down. Things might put us in a situation where we have to stay down for a while, but we're not going to give up and be down forever. The next cycle's coming. And so that's what the advice is saying. Like it'll be okay. We can work through it, and it'll just be another fortuitous event that comes into your life, because again, when one door closes, the other one opens. A bigger and better one opens for you. Okay. So let's get into your oracle cards and dive a little bit deeper. Your Halloween oracle. First one that comes up is change. Imagine that. So yeah, we are talking about change being like our big shadow here, not liking change, not being able to getting out of our routine, endings, that sort of a thing. We're confronting it. Okay, that is exactly what we are confronting. And then we have Night Song, hidden talents. Ooh, what are your hidden talents? What can you focus on instead? Let's see. Let me just read here real fast. All right. Should this beautiful but shy bird sing to you by appearing during your divination, know that you must unwrap the present of yourself. Look, some of the gifts within you remain unopened. The time has come to step into your true potential and claim all possibilities for yourself. There is no more time to waste, no more excuses. So again, if your shadow work is, if your shadow is like you're sitting here in this environment because you refuse to change because you're scared of the unknown, you have all of these talents and possibilities ahead of you. Like you can go through this change. It'll be okay. All right. So like there are untapped potentials here that you not being okay with change has suppressed and not allowed to shine through. So again, being afraid of change just because you don't know what's on the other side or you are comfortable in your routine is not going to help you in the long run. It's just going to keep you from all of these possibilities or opportunities. Okay, and next we've got your Dark Mirror Oracle. We've got forgetting oneself. That's interesting when we're talking about the ninth song here with the hidden talents. Forgetting oneself. So if you're stuck and you're like we're talking about and you're not wanting to change, you can forget all of the goals and the possibilities that you wanted, and you can sit there and be in the same monotonous routine that you've had over and over, and forgetting those opportunities that you wanted for yourself, forgetting, the drive and the determination of where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do out of life. So just because it's comfortable, just because you know the routine, doesn't mean that that's like you're limiting yourself. Is what I'm trying to get at? Is if you're sticking to something just because it's comfortable, or you don't want to change, you're forgetting all of the stuff that you had, the opportunities. Speak, Natasha, use your words. You're limiting yourself because you have all of these talents and ideas and things to share with the world. And if this is a relationship, if you're in it because you're comfortable and it's a routine and you're afraid that you're not going to find somebody else, you're forgetting yourself. Okay? So again, don't stay because it's comfortable. Don't stay in your situation, regardless of what it is, because it's comfortable or, you're afraid of what's on the other side. You're limiting yourself, and, it's not your destiny. You're not using your full potential. Okay? Bride in a cage. Exactly. You're trapping yourself. You're staying in this, and not to say that I'm talking about like situations where you can control whether you can get out of it or not. Okay? Let me make that clear. I'm not talking about things that you have no say in whatsoever. I'm saying the things that you can change, but you refuse to because you don't want to have the workload, or you don't know or are uncomfortable with the outcome of what should happen next. Those situations. So Bride in a Cage, this is that feeling of feeling trapped, feeling like you're on display sometimes, but like that you're trapped in the situation where you're at. Let's see, 21 here. Denial. That is the stage that this is, denial. So yeah, you're in denial of things that can happen that are better for you. You're in denial that you can go through a change, that you can have an ending. Yeah, absolutely. Did we die waiting for the perfect day, or were we never alive? Yeah, absolutely. So the future should not feel like a cage. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so let's move on to your next cards here. We've got your Seasons of the Witch Sown. We've got Grief. It is but a mere glimpse of nothingness hidden away deep within the chambers of your mourning, in the red clovers birthing lost illusion. So grief. What we talk about with grief is what is falling away? What are we losing? Being okay with losing, wallowing for a little bit and allowing ourselves to be in our feelings, but then getting up and moving on. Okay. We can feel sad. We can feel all of the emotions, things ending and things changing. We can feel that. But we can also pick ourselves back up and move through the grief and move on to something bigger and better, because sometimes grief causes the illusions to fall over, right? Sometimes grief messes with our logical thinking. And so if we're afraid of things happening, if we're afraid of loss, if we're afraid of endings and change, then we're going to constantly put ourselves in a situation where we don't want to be. So pulling grief can mean you have a lack of satisfaction about where you are in life, what you have, or perhaps more appropriate, what you don't have. There are still people and opportunities for you if you only lift your head and take a look around. Absolutely 100%. Love that. Okay. Next up, we've got journey. Daughters of our mother, walkers of the unknown, take with you on this journey all that you own. It's okay to have a new journey. It's okay to have a new path. It's okay to let go of things and move forward onto something new. And, you know, who knows what's up ahead, but that's half the fun of it, right? Be okay and accepting of a journey, and think of it like that. Think of change and endings as a journey, as an adventure, right? Easier said than done, I know. And next we have graveyard. There is a song that bellows in the peace of knowing no end and acknowledging the crossroads of eternity. So graveyard, let things stay in the graveyard. Leave. It's okay to leave things behind. It's okay to end. It's the next cycle. It's the next step. The graveyard. Oh gosh. It's kind of beautiful though. Peace and acknowledgement are the key words here. The graveyard card will help you find peace with where you are. There are times when we will be faced with difficult situations that are beyond your control. Those are the times that we must surrender to our current place. There is no use in fighting a battle you've already lost. Take control over the one thing you can change, yourself. The situation you're inquiring about is no longer in your hands. The powers that have taken over. Often we are faced with a challenging ending that is necessary to facilitate bright new beginnings. I mean, I love it. I love how it all fits. Okay. Your last cards here are your memento mori cards, and we've got broom. Clear it all away. Clear it all away. Clean it out. Make room for change. Make space for change. Clear out the ick. We've got a new clean slate coming. Next, we've got pot. With a pot, I feel like it's all about nurturing and growth and containment, and like nurturing your new self and nurturing the change and being okay with new growth coming, because you can't have new growth if you don't change. If you're feeling trapped, if you're feeling restricted, maybe we need to change the pot, right? Maybe you need a bigger pot, and you can't get a bigger pot unless you get rid of your old pot. All right, next, oh my God, we got a wheel. Again, cycles, fate. That is, I love this all so much. So again, a journey, a big change, overcoming. Love that. And your last card here, we've got key. What door are you going to open up? What door does this key go to? Oh, I love this so much. Be okay with change. It's all right. You know, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it creates the most wonderful opportunities and advancements. I mean, you've got so much untapped potential here that you feeling trapped because you don't want to be uncomfortable moving forward, or you're afraid of moving forward. Don't be, because it's going to be okay. Things change, things create cycles. Okay, you have two things here showing you that there's cycles coming, that you're going to overcome it. So I hope this resonated with you. I hope this made sense. This was an experimental reading for me, and I'm kind of excited with how it's turning out. So let me know what group you chose down in the comment section below. I'd be interested to know if this does resonate. Thank you so much for hanging out and spending your time with me. I appreciate you so much. With that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on your way out of this video. That way you will not miss an upload from me. And again, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Hello, my group number 3s. Those of you who chose the Hematite, we're going to go ahead and pull and take a look at your tarot first, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper with your oracle cards. So again, this is a general reading, take what resonates, but we have 2 cards. One card is going to highlight the shadow that we need to work on or focus on, work through. And the second card is going to be the advice on maybe how to work through it. All right. So again, this is experimental. I've not done a reading like this before, so it's been interesting. So your shadow, we've got the Seven of Wands. Okay, so this card is all about setting boundaries, defending yourself, standing up for yourself, aligning with your purpose and keeping going, keeping your head up, that sort of a thing. So when I'm pulling it as a shadow, you've got some problems doing those things, and that's okay. This is a common shadow, and it can be something that has been riding along with you for a long time. Saying no is the hardest thing to do for me. I don't know why, but I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want to feel like I'm incompetent. I can't do it. So yeah, this is your reminder that no is a complete sentence, that you do not have to put no because ... No is a complete sentence. This is a hard shadow sometimes to work through because it's a constant thing that we're working through, right? We're constantly having to set up and reset up boundaries. We're constantly having to stand up for ourselves in this certain environment. So we got work, we've got family, relationships, all of that stuff. Sticking up for yourself and being okay with who you are, creating boundaries to not allow people to constantly take and overtake, right? It's a hard one. And then if we move to a new environment, we have to set new boundaries, and we make new friendships, we have to create new boundaries again. So again, it's something that we will probably work through our whole lives. But the fact is that once we do it and continue to do it, it gets easier and easier so that it doesn't become such a heavy shadow, a dark shadow anymore. This is very interesting, okay? Because it's very relatable. But yeah, definitely working through how to create boundaries and keep them. So this goes for work, relationships, school, whatever, wherever you need to set up a boundary and stand up for yourself. That's what we're working through. Okay. And advice, we've got the Star, which is quite beautiful. Oh my. Okay. So the Star talks about hope and guidance and the light at the end of the tunnel. And so that's exactly what we're going to be working with here. The light at the end of the tunnel. What's going to happen when you set up the boundaries? Are you going to lose some people? Absolutely. But that's because they're the reason you needed to set those boundaries up to begin with. Does that make sense? Like, if people are pushing back on your boundaries, that's exactly why you need them, because they're not appreciating the fact that you have to have boundaries. You know, if they're constantly overtaking, like, they're going to continue this. You know, they're not going to stop because you haven't stood up for yourself. You haven't created those boundaries. You haven't said no. Once you do, they're going to push back because it's going to be like, well, why are you suddenly saying no now? Because you're doing this. That's why. So it's the light at the end of the tunnel. And also, she's pouring out 2 cups here. And she's like, bye. Like, get rid of it. Get rid of the toxicity. That's what we're doing. That's the advice. Getting rid of the toxicity. So whatever that means to you, however that means to you, we are going to get rid of our burdens. We are going to accept them, say goodbye, and move on. The light at the end of the tunnel, okay? We're healing. This is a healing card. Asking for help should you need it. It's a guidance card. It's the card that comes after the Tower card in tarot. So when the Tower card tells you that everything's falling down around you, it's all chaos, and you need to build a better foundation. And in order to build that foundation, everything needs to crumble around it, right? This is the next card. This is that hope. Like, okay, we're going to get to building a new one now. The light at the end of the tunnel. So when you're feeling frustrated, just know that the things that are falling away because you're standing up for yourself, because you're doing the boundary work, because you're saying no, those are the things that are not going to, they're falling away because you're doing that. And it's important that you do that. That's the toxicity. That's the burden. That's all of that. Okay. So hard shadow, because it's a constant shadow, I feel. It's something that will follow us throughout our lives, especially if we have a hard time creating those boundaries. However, it's not a difficult shadow to work through. It's probably always going to linger a little bit, but it's not going to be heavy once we know how to work through it. And how do we work through it? By giving ourselves some grace, by removing the toxicity, and knowing that there's hope that things are going to get better because you're doing the work. Okay? You're resting now. Okay? You're taking an account of everything that you've done so far, where you've been, and where you're going to go next. And it's contemplating those boundaries. How do we set them up? What do we do next? And a lot of that has to do with saying no. Plain and simple, right? Okay, so next we've got your Halloween oracles. First up, we've got reducing burden. Look at that. I love when they all connect. Wow, forgiveness. Okay, so we are reducing burdens in our lives. We're forgiving people, but not necessarily forgetting, because we're setting up boundaries, right? So forgiving ourselves for letting things happen that stress us out, or letting us, or like things that weigh us down. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, because when we forgive others, we're basically doing that for ourselves, not for them, right? We're allowing ourselves that grace to move forward and get out of that, that weighty feeling. So we're reducing our burdens by forgiving and moving on. And next we've got winter, the sacredness of pausing. So when you think of winter, what do we think of? We think of snow. We think of, everything dying and going back into hibernation, and to think and to regenerate, right? So we're pausing. We're taking pause with the star card here and reevaluating how we want to go about things, where we want to put our boundaries. And your last one is blind spots, skull of darkness. Okay, what are your blind spots? Who are those people that you aren't seeing that are taking advantage? What aren't you focusing on? Let's just read for that real fast. There's always a message. All right. All of us at some stage of our life have certain blind spots that may cause grief and trouble. Although we cannot see the issue clearly, it is the repeated patterns of pain that may alert us to them. Symptoms, if you will. For example, the same things keep happening over and over again. We may be betrayed repeatedly, fail at something repeatedly, not complete tasks continually. Peace and pattern breaking can be achieved by doing the work in uncovering our blind spot, or even consulting trusted close friends or professionals to assist us to see what we cannot. So this skull of darkness encourages us to look to the part of ourselves that normally remains hidden or as unseen as possible. Sounds like shadow work to me. So again, who are those people, or what are those things that are a continual pattern that keep weighing you down? Figuring that out when you're pausing here, and then reduce that burden. Dogs. All right, next up we've got your Dark Mirror Oracle. We've got Downcast Pride. Interesting. Downcast Pride. Will setting boundaries or, standing up for yourself be something that you feel like will sting at your pride? The root of sadness and grief is deeper than the skin. The only delusion is the gray sky. Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. Survival is a direct consequence of adaptation. What we call adaptation is not the result of subtle but constantly constructive change of ourselves, but rather a mockery of it as we strip day by day of our dignity in order to avoid conflict in a world that would spread us apart. How can we endure this? Maybe through the power of responsibility or through a hidden core of identity. Sometimes we don't use the best part of us, but rather we draw from the ugliest. We survive and bend our knees because we draw out from our laziness, fear, and disgust. Interesting. We are deluded when we think that we are only sacrificing our pride. Yeah. How can we endure this? Yeah, don't feel bad about having to adapt here. Because, yeah, it was survival mode for you for a lot of it. I get it. I completely get it. Okay. That's very interesting. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Everything will be okay. So this is like a reasoning why this is such a shadow. And then we have obsession. Interesting. Why are you so obsessed with me? Sorry. So there is nothing else that can replace my focus. All things led to one, and then they disappear into one until only one remains. We chase comments and mirrors and shadows. Sometimes we actually chase cars or myths. Obsession is a trick of our perception. Many became one, and that one bloats as to take everything else. It feels like it, whatever it is, an idea, a person, an objective, flavors our life and gives meaning to it. As all the light through a lens, it converges on a single point, and that point goes ablaze under the greatest fire. But in truth, more than acting our life, it numbs our attention to the rest. It makes us feel more awake by hiding the rest of the world under a cloud of slumber. Obsession is a drug. In small doses, it whips. In big doses, it kills. If we drown inside an obsession, we should close our eyes. We don't die in the darkness. We just fall asleep, and then we wake up more naturally. Stage is denial here. Interesting. How does this relate to you? Are you feeling the need to consistently do this because you don't know how others will be okay with you if you don't? Like you constantly say yes to things because you don't want them to think of you in a negative light. Interesting. Okay. In your last dark mirror, we've got masquerade. You're putting on masks, right? You're not setting boundaries for yourself, so you're allowing yourself to kind of go undercover, which is interesting because there's a mask in this too. So, what are you not allowing them to see? Your boundaries. You're not allowing yourself to say no. You're not giving that authority to yourself. So you're masquerading in the sense of like, yeah, I have all, I can do whatever I want for you guys. I'll do it all. I'll take all the time in the world for you guys. But in the end, you're just masquerading as somebody who can do all of that, right? Interesting here. Okay. Obsession could be that people are obsessing with you too. That they take, and they are obsessed with the fact that they can do that they're doing that because it brings them, that high, I guess you would say. Very interesting. I don't know if this is relating to you guys. Just let me know if it does. It could just be a message for certain people. Ooh, we've got Black Cat. There's a curious journey into the depths of the unknown, hidden so deep that only the brave will gracefully return with light in their eyes and shadow leading home. This is your Seasons of the Witch sew-in. So we've got Black Cat, independence, survival, and grace. So you are taking back your independence, giving yourself some grace, like we talked about with the Star card. Love it. Next up, we've got All Hallows Eve. Call upon the voices that stir your senses through the night. Cast an unforgiven howl as you stomp your might through the ground. Okay, All Hallows Eve. Emotion and summoning. You are being called to summon your inner magic. The spiritual realm is smiling on you and is waiting to be made use of. I love it. So ask for help if you need it too. But yeah, create your boundaries. Stand up for yourself. And next we've got apples. To taste, one must swallow it whole, and beneath the satin flame hides drowning waters. I swear I can read. I swear. Just having a heck of a time today. So this is talking about deception and mistrust. And so again, this indicates that there are people in your life that do not have your best interest at heart. There's a reason why you need to set boundaries. Okay? And then last cards we've got here are your Memento Mori, and we've got Sun. Light at the end of the tunnel there. Everything will be okay. Everything will come out okay. Next, we've got in loving memory, we've got a wreath. Okay, so you can have beautiful memories of the people that you let go, right? Like we can be okay with letting them go. They're gone. We can get rid of the toxicity and just know that like, yeah, we've been there. It's okay. And we're moving on. We're cycling through. And next we've got interesting plague doctor mask, and we've got another plague doctor here. So again, protecting yourself, because with the plague doctor, they wore all of this stuff in order to protect themselves from the ick. So again, creating boundaries, setting those boundaries. Next, we've got grave. Again, we're letting people go. We are saying goodbye. We are putting it to bed. We are creating those boundaries. We are allowing ourselves those boundaries. I love this. Comfortable environment. Time to rest. Be still. Calm. And you got two more. This is the one that had the most cards out of the group. So there must be a lot of you picking group 3. Ooh, we've got perfume. Memories. That's what I think of when I think of perfume. Scent. Let me just check real fast what they are talking about in the card deck here. A fond memory. Interesting. Yeah. Sweetness, a comforting presence. So yeah, like just because you're letting people go or letting things go away doesn't mean you can't still hold on to good memories, right? Especially with this in loving memory. It's too synchronized. And last we've got child. Okay. Inner child work for sure with what's going on here, because like I said, this has been a shadow that's followed you around for a long time. And I had a feeling that it was from way young. Sometimes we learn to appease others at a young age just to get out of conflict, to get out of feeling that anxiety. So again, this is inner child work that we're doing with this shadow. That just sealed it for me, so that we are working on setting boundaries so that we're healing some part of our inner child. Okay. Also, this will allow you to feel more playful. This will give you that boundary in order to feel good about yourself again, to create more happy days, more playfulness. Yeah, I'm just kind of blown away at the synchronicity, all of this. The book says new beginnings and possibilities, innocence, potential for a fresh start, a young person, a baby, emotionally immature. So what I see here is that this is going to allow you to move forward. If we worked through the shadow, it'll allow you to propel you forward and create new opportunities for you. So hopefully this resonated with you. I hope it did. Let me know down in the comments section what group you chose. And with that being said, thank you so much for hanging out with me, for spending your time with me. Like I said, this was an experimental thing that I was trying, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like we've got a lot of information for each group. Yeah, let me know if you want more of these. With that being said, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on your way out of this video. That way you will never miss an upload from me. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.